A group of cartel gunmen kidnapped 5 teenagers in the state of Jalisco and forced at least one of them to beat, stab, and kill one of his friends for sport. Just for the fun of it, the cartel gunmen forced one of the kidnapped teenagers to stab and cut the throat of one of their friends. That's how sick these cartel gunmen are. They did it for the fun of it. The case began last week when relatives reported that 5 teenagers had gone missing after meeting up in an area that overlooks the city known as El Mirador in the city of Lagos de Moreno. The following day, authorities found a car belonging to one of the victims. Authorities also found zip ties and blood in the area where the teens had gathered. A second vehicle belonging to one of the other victims was found. That vehicle had been set on fire. Once firefighters had put the flames out, tragically, they found human remains that belonged to one of the victims. Since then, cartel gunmen leaked a photograph on social media that showed 5 young men that had been tied up and tortured. The photo is on the Breitbart article, but in all honesty, I'm not going to post it in the video. Given what we know what happened to these boys, I don't think it's the right thing to post the photo. I think YouTube might be upset about that, and perhaps rightfully so. In the photo, we can see the 5 teenage boys, all with their hands tied behind their backs, all with duct tape across their mouths, each with very bloodied eyes, perhaps one in particular, one of the teens in particular. They're clearly fearful for their lives. It's a harrowing picture, and given what we know, it's best that I don't post the photo on the video. Again, if you want to find that, you'll find it on the internet, but it's certainly on Breitbart.com, and I can imagine more footage, more pictures and video footage will be out there on the internet if you go looking for it. I'm not going to. We're told that the cartel gunman also leaked a video that showed one of the teens being forced to beat one of his friends with a rock, and then that teen had to stab him, his friend, and had to slash his throat. I've seen another article headline stating that the teen was forced to decapitate his friend. This article doesn't use the term decapitate, it says slash his throat. We see in a still image on the Breitbart article of one teen attacking his friend. I gotta say, full condolences to all family and friends of all of the victims. The article doesn't tell us that all 5 of the teens have died. It tells us that one body was found in a burnt out car, and there's a leaked video showing one of the teens being forced to murder and slash the throat, potentially even decapitate his own friend. So at least 2 of the 5 teens are dead. It seems inevitable that all 5 of them are, tragically. The investigating officers have showed the leaked video and the photographs to the families, and the families have claimed that they believe their loved ones were the ones that are in the photos and the videos. So, I mean, I won't say that's a blessing, but I guess it's a positive to a degree that at least the families have been able to identify their loved ones, and at least perhaps they have some level of closure knowing what's happened to them. But what an awful closure to have. We're not given too much more information, but we are told that when journalists tried to ask the president of Mexico, his name Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, when journalists tried to ask him about the case, he ignored the question, he made a joke, and then he walked away. That's the response from the president of Mexico in relation to the presumed murder of 5 Mexican teenagers. Just out to have some fun, and seemingly they encountered the cartel, and seemingly the cartel took it upon themselves to torture these boys in such a horrific way. Why? For what? For what? Why torture them? I mean, why murder them? Perhaps there is some level of reasoning to murder them if the boys had stumbled across a drug factory or something like that. I'm just suggesting. I'm just spitballing. But you can imagine why a gang of criminals would want to kill witnesses to a nefarious act. But even if that's the case, why torture them? Why force one of the teens to beat one of his own friends with a rock, stab him, and slash his throat? In one of the pictures on Breitbart, I mentioned that we see all 5 of the teens bound and gagged, and one of them, his eyes are extremely bloody. That seems to be the boy that was beaten by his friend with a rock. I mean, it looks possible that he's had his eyes gouged out. The images are blurry and they're extremely disturbing. So I'm gonna wrap things up at this point. Hopefully I've said full condolences to all of the family and friends of all of the victims. I think some scrutiny ought to be applied to the president of Mexico. If this absolutely awful tragedy is worthy of a joke and worthy of being ignored, then you guys have got big problems. Well, you guys, either way, you guys do have big problems in Mexico. What's the answer to the cartel problem? I don't know. Is it just a matter of the drug industry, the narcotics industry? I kind of guess not, because you've got drug dealers across the world. They don't go around doing these things, as far as I understand, not to innocent boys, not to a group of teenagers that aren't a part of the drug industry themselves. Perhaps I'm making an assumption there. Perhaps the boys were involved in nefarious activity. I doubt it, but it's possible. I feel a little sickened having gone through this thoroughly, and perhaps you do too. If that is the case, please take a break, go away, try to find something more enjoyable to do. Don't listen to any more videos of mine or of a true crime nature. Give yourself a mental break. And at that point, I'm going to wrap things up. If you do appreciate the coverage, please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video as you see fit, and take care.